Welcome to Live Sources. There are many ways to capture live video with TouchDesigner, and the video device in top is one of the easiest ways to do that. Let's double click on our network and navigate to the video device in top and create it so we can add it to our network editor. Our video device in top allows us to capture video from cameras, dongles, recorders, you name it. The video device in will probably look different than mine, and that's because we just have different devices available. Let's look at some key parameters here on the parameters dialog. First up, we have the active flag. That is whether or not the stream that we're capturing is active. And then we also have our library and our device. By default, the library will be set to Direct Show for Windows or AV Foundation for Mac OS. If you click on this drop-down though, you will see a bunch of different options for Blackmagic, DataPath, FLIR cameras, you name it. So it's important to note that you can use the default for several different use cases, a lot of the use cases honestly. But if you're working with a specific camera of a specific manufacturer, you might want to click on one of these settings to make sure that it's being fed properly and that we are using the library of that specific manufacturer. Next up, you have your devices parameter. So these are all of the devices available on your machine. My first device here shows my NDI stream. This list will likely look different for you from the order to what's available. So I have my NDI, I have a snap camera, I have my Logitech Brio, which is my web camera, and then I also have OBS and Notch. So there are a bunch of different options that I have here. Next up, let's look at NDI. Seeing as NDI is my default, might as well just segue into that. So NDI is a video over IP format with low latency and really decent quality. And we're going to look at how we can use that for local video sharing. So I'm going to first add a movie file in and go to the file parameter and switch that over to our handy count movie. We are going to use this as our default for working with various sources. The next thing that we're going to do here is I am on the left side over here. I'm just going to drop a NDI DAT. And we want to use this NDI DAT because it creates a list in a table of all of the NDI sources and streams found on our network. And I know that'll be helpful just to check whether or not the NDI source we create appears in this list. So back to my movie file in, I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to select the NDI out. This will send an NDI out stream. And once we've added it, you should have seen another source populate in this table. So now I have one called TouchDesigner. Amazing. What we're going to do now is drop an NDI in. We want to receive that source. So we're going to drop an NDI in. You won't see anything connected just yet, and that is because the source name parameter needs to be set to TouchDesigner. Amazing. So now we see our NDI out is sending to our NDI in. Let's look at another option. So another option that's really common to use is siphon or spout. There is a siphon spout top, so it's a combination of the both of them that you can use to be able to share texture images via shared memory on other applications on your computer. So let's add a siphon spout out and connect our movie file in to the input of the siphon spout out. An important thing to note is that Siphon is on Mac OS and Spout is on Windows, so you will be using one of those depending on your operating system. Let's double click on our network editor again and navigate to the Siphon Spout in. There we go. And what we're going to do is immediately we see that it is already showing our count. And that's because our sender name is the TD Siphon Spout out. You may have another source showing up here, so just make sure you're pulling the correct one. And if you ever need to change the name that for your sender, you could change it here, or if you were just receiving, you would see that from the other application that you were using. All right, moving on here, let's look at the video stream out top. The video stream out top can be used to stream content over a local network as well as over the internet. A typical use case would be to use the video stream out top to connect to something like YouTube or Twitch. So let's bring the connector wire from our movie file in to our video stream out. Now that we have that connected, we're doing great, but it is grumbling. And it is grumbling because it is looking for a URL to stream to. Well, what we're going to do is rather than stream to a URL, we are going to change the video stream out mode from RTMP to RTSP server. And we are going to do this locally so that we have a local example. Next up, we are going to double click on our network and we are going to select the video stream in. Amazing. And right away, we can see that it is connecting. These are just a few ways to look at how we can send and receive information within TouchDesigner.